I can answer that question for you. When I started making homemade diesel fuel, I did start with the centrifuge. But I found out with these small ones, it was a pain in the butt to take this apart and clean it every hour and to sit here and regulate the pressure. One day I spent a total of 24 hours running this nonstop and cleaning this filter out. It still kept getting dirty, but when I found out if I let it sit for 2 weeks, then run this filtration, it wasn't collecting anything. I found out just letting it sit for at least 2 weeks to let everything settle to the bottom. Clean that the paper filter and the centrifuge filter was not catching anything. The best way to explain it is kind of like a septic tank. You have the raw motor oil from the local garages that you just let settle, and that gets 90% of all the dirt, metal, and crap out. That's still in the bottom of this tote. The bed sheet catches anything that floats in the oil, or that's the same density, and then that goes down into this second stage oil tote, and I let it sit for another 2 to 3 weeks. At this point, that motor oil is super clean. You can actually put it back into your motor practically. If you want it nice, clean, and clear, I would run that oil through a sand charcoal filter, and then it would be as good as new. Then I mix that oil with the gasoline in these mixing totes. And the gas makes the oil less dense, so more of the carbon will settle out of it. Carbon is what makes the oil black to begin with, and carbon is really not that bad for the motor. If you think about it, that carbon has been flowing over and over through the motor and doesn't do any damage. It's only when it gets too thick of carbon, it starts ruining the circulation of the oil through the engine block. And burning the fuel in the cylinders is normal, a carbon buildup, and it just blows out the exhaust. It's like if you burn wood, then the only thing left behind is carbon, that ash and crap that's left behind. Companies will take that carbon and make ink out of it, or eyeliner and stuff like that, makeup. But after this mixing tote settles for a couple weeks, there's about 1 to 2 inches of carbon sludge at the bottom, which I would say is just like black lithium grease, like in a bucket. That's pretty much what it's like. So I explained in previous videos all the sludge that's left behind that I use the wet dry vac to clean out the raw oil totes, the bed sheet, the first stage motor oil, and the mixing totes. I get between 5 to 10 gallons worth of sludge every 275 gallon batch. What I do with it is when I'm burning brush like trees and stuff, I'll just use it as a fire starter, and that's it. Now the question you're asking, will it be clean enough to run in a 6.5 liter? It really depends on the fuel system. This thick fuel mix, it doesn't matter how clean you get it, it might not work in most of these newer diesel engines because they got too tight of tolerances.